It's that time of year again, resolution season. I've got 5 steps for you that will help you bring your resolutions to fruition. So every January, everybody sets their New Year's resolutions. And next to dieting, financial resolutions are top on the list. So how can you make sure that your resolutions come to fruition? Well, we've got 5 steps to show you how to do that. And it's important to take a different approach to the resolutions because studies show by the time we hit February, 80% of people have already quit with their resolutions. And then by the end of 2019, they're going to find that 98% of the resolutions went unfulfilled. So what do you have to do? How do you set resolutions that are going to work? Well, the first thing you have to do, first step, is visualization. What do I mean by that? Well, the problem is when most people set a resolution, they only focus on the behaviors. So if they want to lose weight, what do? They cut their calories considerably. They stop eating sweets. Maybe they stop doing processed foods, and it's very radical moves. Same with finances. They stop going out to eat. They don't go to Starbucks anymore. They don't go to the movies or entertainment. They cut back on travel. Well, the problem is when you're only affecting the behavior, eventually you're going to quit. Why is that? Well, because it's painful. It's not as much fun when you don't go out to eat. It's not as much fun when you don't go to the movies. All you're doing is inflicting pain. You're just focused on the behaviors. What you need to do is change your beliefs. Now, I know changing beliefs, things like that, it might sound real, third wavy, kind of hippie-ish, very kumbaya-ish. But the thing is that's the truth. What you have to do is get to the point where you believe it's going to happen, and you actually start to visualize the effect, the end result. Why? Well, because that creates some pleasure. Just imagine that you're writing that check to pay off a credit card. You just feel it. Writing the pen to the check, moving your hand on it, writing that off. Just think about the pleasure you're going to have. Just by visualizing it, your brain's actually going to release dopamine. It's going to feel good just thinking about it. So if you actually have some good feelings towards the end result, well, then you can kind of change your behavior a little bit and it won't be quite as painful. I'm not saying there's no pain involved whatsoever, but if you focus on the belief and you visualize the end, it's going to bring enough pleasure for you to endure the hardships of changing your behaviors. So that's the first step, is visualization. The second step is your financial blood work. You have to know your blood work. If you go into a doctor, they want to know your blood work. They have to know where you stand now. You can't set a goal to lose 30 pounds if you don't know what you weigh today. Same goes for your finances. You have to understand where you're at today in order to move forward. So the couple key things you want to focus on, the first one is your net worth. Net worth is simply the amount of assets that you own minus your debts. And we want to see that number going up over time. The second thing you want to focus in on is your spending. Right? Your net worth pretty much isn't going to improve unless you change your spending. If you can't find more savings or if you're not paying down debt, your net worth's really not going to move one way or another. So how do you do that? Like, what's the easiest way? People hate budgets. I hate budgets. I don't do a budget. But there are some tools out there that make it pretty simple for you to do it. And the best thing is most of them are free. So the first thing that I recommend to people is using an account aggregation tool. There's a couple real popular ones out there, mint.com and personalcapital.com. Both of those are completely free. And what they do is they aggregate all of your financial data. So what you're doing is you're literally going into Mint or Personal Capital. You're going to go, they've got little segments for Bank of America, for Wells Fargo, for probably your local credit union, all of the brokerages, everything like that. You go and click on that, and then you are going to put your username and password for the account itself. They have no access to your accounts. They can't deplete your accounts. All they do is what's called a screen scrape. They just pull the transactions into their platform. So you do that, they pull all your data in. So you got your bank account information, credit card information, brokerages, retirement accounts, mortgage statements. You can even link up with Zillow and they'll pull in the value of your home. So you'll know what's going on with the value of your home. So you get all this data in one spot. Now you have a complete 360 view of your finances. You've got your financial blood work. And what's even more impressive about these is on the budget side. When they pull this data over, they'll categorize it if they can. So if you go to Home Depot, they know that's home improvement and they'll categorize it that way. So you can see what you're spending in every different category. Now sometimes they do get that wrong, but you can recategorize expenses. And you do have to go in and recategorize all checks. They don't know what you wrote. They don't know what check 560 was written to. But you can go and say, okay, well, that was sent to the IRS. That's for taxes. So now you've got a complete view of where everything's going. And what's even cooler is they have these little tools they call budgets. And it's not a full budget, but what they do is they take line items. So let's say dining out. Let's say you're spending $400 a month on dining out, and you know that's probably a little bit too much. Well, what you do is you set a goal. I'm only going to do $300 a month. So now it's $300 a month. Well, what happens, the beautiful thing about this compared to budgets is when you log in, it updates your information right away. You've got up to the minute information on your finances. So you look at that budget for dining out, and if we're mid-month and you've already spent $250, you know you only got $50 left. You've got to pull back. You're not going to be going out to eat the last 2 weeks of the year except maybe once or twice. It'll allow you to modify your behavior to hit your goals. The bad thing about budgets is you do the budget all month, you get to the end of the month, you're like, oh, we overspent again. Next month, we overspent again. What this does is it lets you log in and anytime during the month and see exactly where you stand. And you can set these little budget goals for everything. Everything from auto expenses to entertainment to travel to gifts, all of it. It just gives you a lot of opportunity to really take control of your finances with that. Now, if you're one of these folks, you don't want stuff on the internet, you don't want them to have access to your accounts, that's a little bit more difficult, but you can still do the old Excel sheets and do the budgets. It's going to take a little bit more work. Or you could buy a Quicken, which actually owns Mint.com, but Quicken still has where you download it on your computer, and then they pull in all your bank and brokerage and credit card stuff, and then it's on your computer. It's not on a different application out in the cloud. I still think you're probably better off doing it with Mint or Personal Capital, but that's totally up to you. The key thing is to understand exactly what your financial blood work is. The third thing you want to do after the first two steps is that's where we're going to start to set goals. Right? So now you've started to visualize the end result, what you want to achieve. You've taken note of where you really stand right now. Now let's figure out what are realistic goals, okay? So all these goals you're making, they have to be specific, they have to be measurable, and they have to be realistic. You want to make sure you're not saying, I want to get out of debt by the end of the year, or I want to reduce my debt. Well, what's reducing your debt mean? That could be $1. Or is it $10,000? Or $20,000? You have to be very specific. So once you get it specific, now it's measurable. Now you can see every month, how much debt did I pay off? You can start to track it. But you have to make sure it's realistic. If you're somebody who makes $40,000 a year and you don't have any savings and your goal is to be a millionaire by the end of the year, that's just not going to happen unless you take $40,000 and buy 40,000 Powerball tickets and happen to get lucky. That's the only way. So you have to be realistic. If you can look and see, all right, I think looking at my budget, did my financial blood work, I could probably save $200 a month. Well, now you know you can do $2,400 of debt reduction or savings every single year. So the third step is setting those goals and making sure that they're very realistic. The next step after that, you've got your goals now. Now you're going to say, how do we do this? Well, The next thing to make sure that your resolutions stick is to look for the low-hanging fruit. So the fourth step is low-hanging fruit. I don't care who you are, even myself. I do this quite a bit. Every year I'll do it. I look at my budget and look for expenses that really shouldn't be there. What things am I doing? What services am I using or paying for that I'm not using? Right? Maybe you have a Netflix account that you never watch, or you've got a cable package with 300 channels and all the bells and whistles, but you really don't use it. Or your cell phone plan is unlimited, but you use 1 or 2 gigs a month. Bring them back. Cut those things back. The beautiful thing is you can find a little bit of savings there in all of these areas, and now you're starting to make the big improvements. It's these low-hanging fruit that you get, and you get an instant rush because you're meeting your goals. So the fifth step you need to do is think about small changes. Small changes have big impacts over time. So we know that most resolutions fail because people make radical changes on January 1st. Radical calorie reduction for dieting, radical spending reduction for financial goals. It's painful. They haven't done the other processes. They haven't set goals. They haven't visualized the end result. But they do these things radically right at the beginning, and it's just so painful that they don't stick with it. So just make little things. If you can find 1 penny of every dollar you spend, just 1 penny, now you've got 1% savings rate, or you're reducing your debt by 1%. May not seem like a lot, but that's going to start to have an impact. A 1 degree change of course, if you're out sailing, may not make a big difference over the next few miles, but if you did it for a few days, it's going to have a huge difference. It could be the difference between getting to San Francisco or getting to Los Angeles. It has a big impact. And once you get that 1%, then it's easy to get to 2%. And then 3%. You can do that. It's just little changes. The other thing is with your resolutions, you want to take it small. So the first month, maybe what you do is you just take your financial blood work. You go in, you take the time to set up Mint or personal capital. You categorize your expenses because these things go back 90 days. So you'll have 90 days of information right when you log in. You find out where's your spending going. You can get that picture. That's the first thing. Just takes maybe an hour or 2. That's the first month. Second month, we jump in, we look for the low-hanging fruit. We look at your budgets. What am I not using that I'm paying for? That Planet Fitness membership, cell phone plan, all that stuff. You just take a little bit of time, maybe each week, you hit 1 or 2 of those. So you spend 15, 20 minutes getting rid of that expense. But then by the time we get to March or April, you've easily cut 1, 2, 3% of your spending. You're getting there. It's very easy to do. The other beautiful thing about financial resolutions as compared to physical resolutions, if your goal is to lose 10, 20, 30 pounds, you've got to pretty much do something every day. You've got to modify your diet. You've got to exercise every single day. With financial goals, once you make the first change, you don't have to do anything else. It's like being able to do sit-ups and then not having to do anything the rest of the year and still have six-pack abs. You make that change, you cut that one bill out to Planet Fitness, that's it. You don't have to think about it again. Every single month you have that savings. So it makes it very easy to do. Just think of small steps. You're not going to get it back all at once. Just take it a little bit of time each month. Next thing you know, you're going to be really rocking and rolling. The other thing to remember with all of these tactics and all of your resolutions and all of your goals, they don't happen in a linear progression. Nothing happens straight up. Okay, you're going to have setbacks. If you're dieting, you might have a holiday, a vacation, somebody's birthday, you find yourself eating a lot more calories than you should. Same with financial. You might have a auto mechanic issue, right? Your transmission goes. You might have another unexpected expense. Don't let that derail you. Get back on track and just keep trugging after that. Don't expect that there won't be setbacks, because there will. But the thing is, if you just keep at it in small increments, it's going to happen. So hopefully you found this interesting. So hopefully it's something that can help you reach your resolution goals on the financial side, but maybe even something else. These principles apply to basically any kind of resolution. If you like this video, we would love for you to show some comments down below, share it with other folks. Anything you can do, we really appreciate it, trying to get the word out. But the big thing, like I always say in every video, right now matters. Okay, with resolutions especially, you got to start. Even if it's just a little bit of action, make it happen right now. So hopefully you're one step closer to saving yourself from Wall Street.